Okay, we're gonna end up recording a lot for this one, so I don't even know if this is gonna make it in the video. I'm still not going to write a script for anything. I should, but I'm just not going to. Sorry. Anyway, the point of this video is I want to explain fuzzies, defensive fuzzies. So first, I guess I should start off with some terminology. I'm actually gonna take the time to just talk about a few things. So, yeah, drawing tool. We got fuzzy. That's what we're here to talk about, right? That's the focus of what I'm trying to explain. So obviously, we should probably like define it first. And in my definition, we're actually just like, we're not gonna use the word fuzzy anymore. If I use the word fuzzy, what it means is delay, okay? This is what fuzzy means. It means delay. If you say fuzzy mash, it means delay mash. Okay? If you say fuzzy jump, it means delay jump. If you say fuzzy tech, it means delay tech. No one even says fuzzy tech. You just say delay tech. For all intents and purposes, when we say fuzzy, it's just an overcomplicated way of saying delay. I'm going to give a more detailed breakdown of what this delay entails. But in general, we're replacing the word fuzzy with delay. Now, there is another thing that I would call fuzzies on defense because it works the same way as offensive fuzzies do, essentially. So when we get there, I'll explain that. But if I ever say fuzzy, I don't want to go change all the audio to fix that. I really should just say delay instead. We're talking about delay. Now, the other type of fuzzy, the like fuzzy, we'll say fuzzy, that's a terrible U. Fuzzy FR. This is block stun abuse. This is for real fuzzy is block stun abuse. Offensively and defensively, it's abusing block stun to do certain things like overheads that shouldn't hit, like not getting hit while mashing, blocking and mashing at the same time. That's what this is. When we say fuzzy, like fuzzy tech, fuzzy block, even fuzzy block, it just means delay. I just figure that's a better explanation than what I actually say. So if what I say sounds stupid, sorry, but there you go. Because we're pretty bad at this. Fuzzy means a lot of things. We use it for a lot of things in fighting games. But I think the terminology has kind of shifted to a more reasonable state. A fuzzy specifically now is going to refer to defensive options. An offensive fuzzy, that's an F-shiki. It's an instant overhead. It's a specific setup for an instant overhead, but we really just call that the F-shiki. Hello, I'm cutting in again to give you an example of an offensive fuzzy. This is, I think, just how the video is going to be structured. I am just going to say something, because I'm watching back that initial clip I recorded. I'm going to hear myself say something and be like, oh, I should give an example. So now we're going to do that. You're also going to have to sit with me because my buttons are wrong. And, oh, button setting battle. Oh yeah, those are really wrong. Drive. I think that's that. It's probably good enough. I don't really need it to be perfect to be able to show this. So what do I mean with offensive fuzzy or an F-shiki? Let me think who has the best example of this. It's Izanami, but hers is hard to do. Okay, bear with me then in case I fuck this up a few times. I have not played this character in a while. I know the setup for this fuzzy. Okay, what do we mean when we say fuzzy? So in this context, let's go to the settings. He's blocking, block type, it doesn't matter. We'll say block switching enabled and he's crouching. Now I want to hit Dear Susanoo here with an overhead like this. But it does not hit. That's unfortunate for me. Because it would hit if he's standing, right? Hits just fine. What's the issue there? Well, if he's standing, he would block this. Like, because he's standing. Yeah. So, I want to essentially hit him while he's crouching with a standing hurt box. Well, how can I do that? Here is how you do that. So, let me do it with him doing it to me, it'll be easier to see. I'm gonna have Susanoo do this to me. Ah, Susanoo, why does your button have to do it? So let's do it like this. That's not an overhead, but it'll still demonstrate what I want to. So if you look at my controls, you'll notice I am switching to crouch block immediately after the move hits me. But Izanami is still standing. Why is that? It's because in block stun, you cannot change what you are doing until something else hits you and puts you in a new state of block stun. What does that mean? It means that in this time where he is standing here, he is crouch blocking but standing. And what does that mean? It means you can do that. So what does that accomplish? Susanoo actually also has a fuzzy. I forgot about this. So let's just solo with Susanoo. Okay. Sorry, cutting ahead here. I finally got the example that I wanted. I was doing the setup wrong before. You need both hits of JC for this to be easiest. So if you notice there, I'm holding back, right? If I just hold back, block it just fine. If I change to crouch block, I get hit. Now Susanoo JA does not hit rising. It's not big enough to do that. It only hits standing people on the way up. So if you can get them in this state where they're stuck in block stun, this is what I mean when fuzzies are block stun manipulation, block stun magic, block stun evil techniques, block stun fucking wizardry, who cares? That's what an offensive fuzzy is. There is a similar thing on defense. That is not what we usually say a fuzzy. There is a similar thing on defense where you're using block stun manipulation, like the fact that you're in block stun to do things. And we sometimes call that a fuzzy, but we don't always call that a fuzzy. Fuzzy usually means something entirely unrelated. So there you go. Okay, so with that clarification out of the way on what an offensive fuzzy is and what we mean by that, let's talk about defense again. So as I said, defensive fuzzies are really just delay defensive options. And that can be still a bit confusing because what is a fuzzy block? What is a delay block? That is what we're going to go over first. This and delay tech are the two most basic options. The basic fuzzy options, but really also just basic defensive options that aren't the universal like core ones like mashing, blocking, and that's it really. Like those are the only things more core than it, I would say. And what do they accomplish? Well, we're going to start with fuzzy blocking. I'm going to give you an example in 3 different games, but fuzzy blocking, delay blocking, is applicable to any game that has high-low mix-up. So effectively, it is applicable to like every single fighting game. And let me show you this example I have. I have a very simple example recorded here. Cheetah has 2 options. Either it's going to do auto combo low, or it's going to do auto combo overhead. Now, we can set this to random, and now we just got to guess, right? Like, oh fuck, mix up coming. Alright, lucky guess, lucky guess. Ah, but I got correct. And then you're like, oh, I don't want to get hit by the overhead, but then you get hit by the low. And this is frustrating. This is a pretty common, I think, point of frustration on defense when you're playing the most basic defense, because frankly, the most basic defense of just blocking loses to the most basic offense of just do buttons into a mix-up. You are eventually going to get hit, And since you're not rewarded for blocking correctly, really, in this situation, you're +4. That's not a punish because your fastest button is 5 frames and they're not in throw range. Feels frustrating. But maybe, what if you're just really good? You know, what if you just block all the mix-up every time? Well, then there's no threat at all. Like, why don't you just do this? We're 5 for 5. We're 6 for 6. We're 7 for 7. We're 8 for 8. We're 9 for 9. Can we get the 10? 10 for 10. Now, what's going on there? Am I just the luckiest motherfucker in the world? Well, if you know anything about me, no, I am not. So something else is clearly going on there. And if you looked at my controls, you might be able to notice it. I'm not reacting at all, really. Because even when she did the low, let's see if I can get her to do it right here. I'm switching to blocking overhead. Why is that? Well, let me move to the whiteboard to give you a better explanation. Alright, I have a bit of a strange graphic here to explain what was going on in that setup and how I am just the best to ever do it and block every single mix-up. So, these are our two timelines. In this first timeline, Jita does the low of the auto combo. So pretend here we're starting at right after she did the second hit. So she's going to do the third hit of the auto combo. And on the top, I'm going to say what you're doing. On the bottom, I'm going to say what she's doing. So you are, let's say you just pick blocking low, right? So now in every single thing, you're just blocking low. You're like low, 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 low. All of these, you're holding down back. Well, Jita has all the startup of her move that's going to go on. And the low in Grand Blue has 12 frames of startup. So 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. The low would come out here. And you're still blocking low the whole time. So when this comes around, you're blocking low. Oh, guess what? Mix up blocked. You did it. Good job. You won. But what about on the other timeline? All the same stuff happens. You're blocking low. She did overhead. Well, she hit you. You're fucked. I guess we should write it the other way. This gets you a big check mark. This one of you getting hit. You blocked overhead. She did a low. Fucking die. You fail. You lose instantly. But something's not quite right here, is it? What is it that's not quite right here? The low is 12 frame startup. The overhead is not 12 frame startup. It should not be here. The overhead is 18 frame startup. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Overhead's all the way over here. Okay, so what? Big deal. You're still blocking low. You get hit over here. How does that help you at all? Well, now let's consider another situation where you're blocking low, right? And you continue blocking low all the way till here. And then right here, you block overhead, and you keep blocking overhead from then on. What happens? So Jita is doing whatever. You don't know. She could be doing anything. Let's say you're blind. You can't even react because you can't even see. All you know is that this is the situation. Well, what do? You're blocking low, and at this point, you don't know what she's doing. She did a low. Well, guess what? You're blocking low. So good job. You succeeded. But that is not the only thing that could happen, right? So let's say low, or it's nothing. Nothing hits you on this frame. The timeline continues because you're not on the timeline where she hit you with the low. Well, in that case, you win either way, right? If you're blocking low and she does a low, you block it. If you're blocking low and she does nothing, you actually also don't get hit. But then, we're back to the shadows, and fuck, she did the overhead. And you are not blocking low. You're blocking overhead, so guess what? Boom, you did it. So what's going on here? Well, it seems that by doing this single option of low, block overhead, well, you block both of them. There's no two timelines. There was only one timeline. This is the only timeline where you just block both. You never get hit. And what is the key here? The key is this right here. This time right here is the important thing you always need to think about. The issue people make, I'm going to talk about this with another example, is treating things like a real 50-50. Because they're assuming both options are hitting at the same time, and at that time, you just have to give your option. This isn't a coin flip. In a coin flip, the coin is flipped, you call it right there. It's heads or it's tails. This is like tails could land here and heads can happen here and only here. So basically, I'm flipping a coin. If I ask you to call the coin right here, you are going to say tails because that's the only thing it could flip. And then after this moment, tails is gone as an option. So you're just going to call heads no matter what. Any option after, you're just going to call heads no matter what. Because that's the only option left that can hit you. So it's the coin flip analogy is fucked here. That was a stupid analogy because it doesn't even apply. This isn't a mix-up. This is testing your ability to recognize this time right here. If within this time you switch from low to overhead, you block both no matter what. You don't have to react to anything. And that's how I am able to block that 10 for 10. That's why I wasn't reacting to anything. It was just block low, then block overhead with this delay in your timing. That's why fuzzy blocking, delay blocking, it's just a delay switching between which two things you're blocking. Block low, wait, block overhead. Sometimes it's the opposite. If the low hits later than the overhead, block overhead, wait, block low. Okay, I promised you multiple examples, so we are going to get one from Strive. But because I am bearing the burden of opening Guilty Gear Strive for you, you're going to sit here in the loading screen with me while we wait. Took a full fucking minute. Also, holy shit, I just realized something. Okay, sorry. You are also gonna sit here with me through this. I don't need to play with I don't need to play with dog shit quality anymore. Wow, look at that fucking eagle. Isn't that incredible? Anyway, so we came all the way here to Strive, which has I'm sorry, this is like actually like I'm baffled. The game just looks like this and it's running fine. Anyway, we came all the way here to Strive. Kai, stop fucking beat the shit out of me. This game has probably the easiest example of a fuzzyable mix-up, and it is so easy. In fact, the game itself teaches this to you in the like training mode, the like mission mode. There is a trial on fuzzy blocking, delay blocking. Why does this have an example? Well, what's this? Sweep hits on frame 10, dust hits on frame 21. That's it. If someone does this versus this, it's just not a mix-up. You should never ever get mixed by this. We got two setups there. Let's go to recording settings. You have to change this one. That's how Strive menu works. And then we just, yeah, like that's it. That's it. This is why dust mix-ups tend to not be that good, except for low health scramble situations where people aren't ready for it, or like you do it in a straight spot. or like your name is fucking Happy Chaos. That's also one that makes it quite easy to practice your fuzzy timing, because the delay timing, the window is quite wide. I'm not going to draw you the diagram again, but you can do the math there. If the low hits on frame 10 and the overhead hits on frame 20 there, I don't know why I was hitting on frame 21 in the corner like that, or 22. What a strange game. Whatever, it can hit 20 on the soonest. So, oh, I think it's because I'm slightly holding it. Yeah, I am. That's my bad. Sorry, Guilty Gear. I'm blaming you for what's my own fault. I'll only blame you for what is your fault. Regardless, you have a 9 frame window there to switch your block, which is quite generous. Now, while I'm here, we're also gonna go over when we say an unfuzzyable mix-up, what do we mean? This game thankfully provides you with one of the easiest examples ever in just Elfeld's existence. So sit here with me and watch this fucking eagle. So what is unfuzzyable about Elfeld? Well, this overhead hits on frame 14. This low hits on frame 14. So you'll notice your window there to delay, to change your block window is 0 frames, which is pretty difficult to correctly guard against. Now there is a bit of a caveat to this, where like depending on situations, this sometimes, I don't even think I can get it to happen here because the dummy is gonna block it correctly. This can hit later than 14, but that brings the window to fuzzy block this to 1 frame usually, which is still, for all intents and purposes, because 1, it's inconsistent for that to happen, and 2, it's 1 fucking frame, that is still unfuzzyable. So when we say unfuzzyable mix-up, this is an actual coin flip if you get put in this situation. Now typically in modern games, if there is an unfuzzyable mix-up, it's your fault. Like if you let Elfeld make you block this, you probably deserve to get 50-50. There was always something you could do to avoid that situation. But this is an example of a mix-up where this is not applicable at all. You're just straight guessing. Straight guessing twice, in fact, if she so feels. Yeah, I just thought I'd include that to make it a bit more clear, the distinction between this and a proper mix-up. Okay, and now we got our final example. I got one in Blaze Blue where you would do the opposite. You would start blocking high and delay block low. I would also like to preempt the downplay allegations. I'm not saying this character's mix-up is blockable. I'm saying this mix-up is blockable because it's not very good, to be honest, compared to what she could be doing. So what are the 2 options here? Oops. Sorry, my buttons are a bit fucked, but it's okay. Is I gonna do this into overhead like that, or she's gonna do the same thing into fake low. So again, this is a pretty evil mix-up. That's pretty evil. And against Izanami in general, you should be stand blocking her when she's in this situation, because at any point, you know, there could just be an instant overhead like this. So you kind of have to be stand blocking. So what you're really watching out for as the mix-up delay option is when she does this instead. Or I mean, if she can go for this as well. It's not very good because it's lower reward, and this is scarier because you can start doing stuff like that. But anyway, this isn't a video about Izanami's 700 way mix-ups. How would you fuzzy this? Same stuff we've been doing. Damn, she's gone overhead 3 times. There you go. So here, by stand blocking and then delay blocking low, you are able to correctly block that 50-50. So that's an example in Blaze Blue. To be honest, this game's a bit harder to find examples for because the offense in this game is quite a bit different from a lot of other games. But I guess I can give you one more as a freebie. Another character you can kind of do this against if he's being very... What the fuck? There we go. Is Azrael. If he's not varying his options enough, and he's just defaulting to like drive mix up like this is fuzzyable. It's a bit difficult, but you can fuzzy this. That's another example. Just switch, the overhead does hit later. The gap just is not very wide. And obviously, again, BlazBlue is a bit more complicated game with this offense. Because yeah, Azrael has that, but then this stuff is different timing. You have to know that timing. He can obviously just throw you. Azrael also there's a lot of jump resets like this in BlazBlue. So keep this in mind, but there's other delay options that are stronger in BlazBlue that we're going to get to later than just delay blocking, but you do need it to block some more basic 50-50s. So that's 3 examples for you. 4 actually, I gave you 2 from BlazBlue for free, look how nice I am. Alright, we're here with BlazBlue to explain the second delay option. This is arguably even more important, so maybe I should have started with it, but I didn't. This is delay tech. This is delay tech. This is going to be in almost every fighting game you play that has throws. If there's throws, there's delay tech. How does delay tech work? Well, you already saw the example with delay blocking. So really, we're just going to extrapolate the same concept, but to throw techs. So I'm going to show you the 3 examples first, and then we're going to go to the whiteboard again, and I'm going to give you the big long explanation again, just to really make sure you understand why this is happening. So BlazBlue is also a bit of a special game when it comes to delay tech, because it has a very curious way of delay teching. In every game it's going to differ, because it depends how you can tech a throw. So I know you're probably thinking, well, you tech a throw by doing a throw. And yeah, that's true. If someone throws you like this, you tech the throw by also hitting the throw button. You can't tech it with anything else. If I mash a button here, nothing happens. I have to hit the throw button. But there is actually another way to tech, kind of. So if you hold back and throw, you still throw. This is still throw. However, if you hold back and press A, B, and C, you barrier block. Because the input for barrier is A, B while blocking. It's crush, trigger, and block. If you have a crush trigger button, you can see that. Now, why is that important? Well, this ABC input still contains B and C. So what does that mean? It can tech throws. And that means you can actually tech throws like this. Now this is very strong because you are blocking and teching a throw at the same time effectively. And why is that relevant? Well, if someone did a frame trap like this, oops, and you just tried to tech in between because you thought they would throw you, you would get hit. Now, sure, you'd win if they actually did throw, right? Obviously, that's what you were hoping for. But you get hit if they do a frame trap. Now, delay teching does help with this, but there is a pretty core weakness to delay tech that you're seen most often. You see this very often in Street Fighter 6, where, so to give the example again, if she does this and I'm doing a normal delay tech, which is just I wait and then throw instead of trying to just throw immediately, like this. You can see I throw when her move hits me. Oops, there I did too soon. I won't get hit because I'm delaying the throw now. I'm not throwing immediately to get counter hit. But what if she does this? Now what's gonna happen there? Let's see. Even though I delayed my throw, that can happen to you. This is why in Street Fighter, most of the mix-up in the corner is you throw them, and then either you walk up and BD throw them again like this, or you shimmy them like this. They delay tech, whiff, you kill them. But in BlazBlue now, in that same example, if I delay tech like this, nothing happens to me. I'm just blocking. Nothing happens. So now keep in mind, so from here on, whenever we're talking about delay teching in BlazBlue, you should be doing it with this input. A, B, and C. It's safer because if for some reason, they don't even have to be baiting it, they can just be fucking up the timing on their offense, doing something wrong, and that leaves some gap open where you throw out a throw and then you die. This just keeps you safe to that. Now, what is the actual example I have prepared? Well, S, it has 3 options here. First option is the most simple. In this one, S is going to run up, jab, and then throw. That's upsetting. I don't want to get thrown. In option 2, S is going to run up, jab, jab, frame trap, and then throw. And just to show you, that is a frame trap. I can't mash between those jabs. If I IB, you can trade, but you cannot mash properly. And then, third option, frame trap, frame trap, frame trap, frame trap. She's just going to do 3 frame traps. So you cannot mash on any of these. You'll just get hit. That's the first one. Between 2 and 3 you get hit, and then between 3 and 4 you get hit. You can't avoid getting hit here if you mash at all. You just have to block it out. So now, well, this seems like a pretty hopeless situation, because again, in all these examples, we're considering your opponent, so in this case you, the one blocking, it's just going to sit there and block. They're not going to mash, they're not going to try and find a way out. They're just going to like play defense properly, in quotation marks, and just sit there, tech the throw, block the mix-up. So with the power delay tech now though, let's see if I can get out of this. Alright, tech the throw, good, not bad me. Actually did it too soon there. Oh, tech the throw, not bad me. Alright, tech the throw. Blocked it out just normally, we're still safe. Too early in there. Oh. There we go. So you can see, that is quite effective, but clearly I messed up on purpose to show you the one weakness of it. This is why this game has TRM. Otherwise, you could do this, and you would tech every throw forever. There is a lockout window where you can't tech throws. If I have S jump and then throw me like this, it's on random. I'm stupid. And I do that, it says TRM. The right timing, you'll do it. Do it too early, the throw is untechable. That is the weakness of delay teching in this game, because it needs one. If it didn't have this, delay teching is extremely overpowered. And just to give you an example of one way, easy way to beat delay tech, this is pretty common, it's to do this. So what's the point of that? If I try and, it's actually a little harder to do because of the barrier. Actually, it's not even that fun. Let's go get you a pretty classic example of a way to beat delay tech. Susanoo has a pretty funny way to beat it, where he does this. Oops. You do that. Now why the fuck does that work? Why would that work at all? Well, if I see Susanoo walking up, I'm scared. I'm like, oh fuck, delay tech. DRS. And if I mash, let's say I see him walking up, and I mash on him, he did a DP, he gets a combo there. Again, if you delay tech, you see it says TRM, I could not tech that throw. So this is just an example of how to beat delay tech in this game, because once you start fighting people who do it, it's never possible to throw them ever again, unless you have they have bad timing with it, or you know these setups. So I just thought I'd show that one because if you watched, I think it's Ice School. It was Ice School. I mean, they all do it. Ice School does it. Ketsugo does it. There's a Terumi player also plays Susanoo. DGF, he also does it. DLZ does it. This is a pretty stupid looking Susanoo setup, but once you understand the reasoning, the power of this delay tech, this is genuinely a strong setup. Like, this is not like stupid Susanoo pressure. This is like what you do to extremely hard call out delay tech like this. And also it calls out mashing at the same time, which is the cherry on top. It even actually calls out other DPs because Susanoo has more than others, but that's we're getting too much into Susanoo. Anyway, that's the delay tech example for Blaze Blue. Yeah. Go ahead. Okay, we're back with Grand Blue. Oops. Turn that off. So Grand Blue, if you could believe it, is probably a game where delay tech is even more important because it might be even stronger than Blaze Blue's, which sounds crazy, but it because you know Blaze Blue's delay tech is pretty insane. But Grand Blue has its own mechanic to how throw techs work, its own quirks that throw techs work that also make delay teching really strong in this game. And important because this game is primarily a strike throw game, so knowing how to deal with throws is like most of your defense. So the principle is the same. So let's get an easy example. Lucilius does this. So if he does that, and I mash, I'm fucked. Oh, he's timing it wrong. By he, I mean me. Let me fix that timing. Yeah, that should work. There we go. Can't mash on that. Just a nice, clean, solid, honest frame trap. And of course, the second option will be him doing this. I don't know why I kept recording for so long. Second option will be that. So now we have ourselves a pretty simple mix-up here. Let's turn this on, let's turn it to random. Frame trap, I got thrown. And obviously, if I'm just trying to immediately throw tech after every jab, I'll tech the throws, sure. But I get hit by that. And like, I'm not doing the combo, but you know, just to show you. You don't take nothing. You don't take nothing for getting frame trapped. Now, this is an outlier. This is BL5 Lucilius, but like, a lot of characters will kill you getting frame trapped in this game. It's very scary. So, we have to bring out our good old friend, delay tech. You can see I'm throwing when the close medium is hitting me. And this lets me pretty easily just beat both options. It's not even that difficult, to be honest. So what is it that Grand Blue has that can make delay teching even stronger? Well, I'm teching with the throw button as one does. But Grand Blue has this mechanic to it called, I don't know if the mechanic has a name, we just call it button teching. So people say late teching, but it doesn't actually have anything to do with timing. So if I have Lucilius throw me, and if you take a look here, I did not tech with the throw button, I pressed the light. Well, there I just mistimed it completely. I'm doing it way too early. So what happens there is if you tech with, you can tech with like any button in this game. Not special, I don't think, and not block, because that would be stupid. But any like attack button can be tech with. So light, medium, heavy, or unique. All of them are valid techs. You just get this different tech we call a button tech. It is worse. So if you notice, I still take a little bit of damage. right there, lose a little chunk of health. That is way less than a throw still. And whereas a throw tech is 0, a button tech is +6. Now, it is +6 at this distance. You can hit like mediums here. Far mediums, maybe a far heavy, or you can try and go back in with a dash light. But it is not nearly as advantageous a situation as throws, where most characters get safe jumps in this game. Does Gran not? Do you suck, Gran? There we go. So button teching is quite strong, and what's the benefit of button teching? Well, effectively, it's delay mashing and teching at the same time. And why is that useful? Because it can actually beat certain hard throw bait callouts. So the best example I can think of, unfortunately, is on Beatrix, who I don't own. So we are going to use 2B. And I need someone who has a good anti-air. Grimnir. I'm sorry, Grimnir. Yeah, that's Grimnir. That's the God of War Grimnir. Now, you're fighting 2B, right? And you could be in this situation where, let's go to slot 1. She's just gonna throw you, and you're like, fuck that, man. I don't want to get thrown. But let's get a second one here, where she does this. So, what does that do? Okay, she delayed it too long. Do it like that. Ouch. If I'm teching here, if I'm delay teching, well, she's in the air. And she gets a full combo on me for daring to delay tech. And I can show you, we put this on random again, and I'm just trying to deal with this. Damn, she's mixing my shit, man. I can tech the throw just fine, but that overhead is gonna smoke me. What's the solution? Well, take a look at this. Save input. Too early there. In this situation, I can tech with a button that both calls out the throw bait, and because you can button tech, it still techs the throw. Now, it should be noted you have to choose your button wisely. I'm obviously not going to catch it if I hit like 2N. I'll still tech the throw. Too early on both of those, I'm a little bit stupid, there we go. But I'm going to get hit if I choose the wrong button still. But this is a pretty cool thing about Granblue. You can be pretty unique on your defense depending on what button you're choosing to delay tag with, and that all depends on what you think your opponent's going to do. So this kind of went on a bit of a lecture on delay mashing as well. So you can think of that as a little spoiler, because if I changed her slot 1 to just like be that would frame trap me, right? But if I did this, it would still catch that. So little spoiler into what delay mashing looks like, though I'm sure you probably already could have guessed, because again, all of this is just applying the exact same principle of delay your defensive option, and it will catch multiple things, because offensive options are not all presented to you at the same time. That's the Granblue example. And we are here again with Strive. I have noticed, I don't know why, at the start of every clip it makes like a really loud noise. I don't know how to make it not do that, so I hope you'd like that noise. And yes, you are gonna sit here in the communicating with server screen with me again. Okay, we're here with Sin. There is a very simple situation that you can, don't fucking hit me, man, that you can apply this to. Let's go. Oh wait, no, this game has nicer recording settings. So the first one, we're gonna do that, and the second one, I'm gonna fuck it up for no reason. I have no stamina. 1 second. We'll do that. So this is a pretty common situation with Sin. Recording settings, there it is. Random, I'm just gonna put them on 10, I don't know why. And put that on. And now, pretty evil 50-50 situation here, because that shit frame traps you like crazy. You mistimed my mash, I think it frame trap, there you go. If you're mashing throw, if you try and do anything really, you're gonna counter it. And on the other hand, if he ever chooses to do it, that throw is super meaty because you are guard crushed. You don't have any throw involved. So, seems like a pretty dire situation, but once again, even though you're guard crushed, your good old fashioned friend, the late tag, is still gonna work here. The timing is just not gonna be as lenient as it normally is, so I'm gonna have to struggle with this one a little bit, so bear with me. There we go. There you go. You can see that works. Still works. Guard Crush just makes the timing a lot more difficult because you don't have the 5 extra frames of throw and foam that normally widen that gap between strike and throw. There is still a wide enough gap that you can do this, and the throw tech window is wide enough, but you might have to practice that timing a bit. It's not just going to come for free. And as a little freebie for this section, I can show you something about this setup in specific. I'll just do it to him. So he's blocking, right? Yeah, he is. So let's go counterattack settings after block. Bro. So the reason I'm hitting him, of course, is I hear I'm so plus at this frame traps. But now if you're getting the late tech, the Sin player might be like, time to bait that throw. He actually can't just walk away. If you delay tech here, he doesn't leave throw range. So if I have the dummy, recording settings, do this. Oh, he doesn't have stamina. Delayed it too much there. You actually still throw him, even with the late tech timing. So this is a very simple thing you can practice against Sin specifically, but this is obviously applicable to most situations where you're getting strike thrown, like close slash like this, close slash throw, jab pressure where they do like jab 60 frame trap or jab throw. There's another place you can delay tech. There's a lot of situations. I'm just trying to teach you the idea. You can figure out how to apply this to whatever situation is relevant. I just figured I'd share that Sin one because I am 100% confident that all of you are familiar with getting Big Driver follow-up gazelle stepped by Sin. Now we're back to the drawing. We'll be a bit faster this time because I think you understand why delay teching works. It's literally the exact same reasoning as delay blocking, but there is one bit of nuance that will depend on the game you're playing. So let's say I'm gonna use just one to demonstrate the two situations. Also, why is it just dragging it? Pencil, please work with me. Let's refresh this. Okay, there we go. I don't know why it was not working before. We have this big arrow now, so I hope you enjoyed that. There's a dabbing unicorn there. Thank you, random drawing tool I searched up on google.com. So let's say there's another situation, and in this situation, this is the point where you can get struck, and we're going to use one here. So the thing about strike and throw is that, in theory, strike and throw could happen to you on the same frame. So right here, we'll use a pretty extreme example. Say Street Fighter, where there's no throw invulnerability on Wake Up. So we'll do it right here, actually. This is your Wake Up frame. Either you get hit by a strike, or you get hit by a throw. I suppose this is your Wake Up frame. And on the very next frame, after your first vulnerable frame, it could be a strike or a throw. This is the main difference between high-lows and strike throws, is it's far more common that a strike and a throw can actually hit you on the same frame, whereas high-low, you saw, they're typically spaced out. Overheads are usually slower than lows. So is this fucked? Are we doomed? Because, well, how can I delay my option to catch both if they hit on the same frame? We just went over we didn't just. I think at this point it would have been 30 minutes ago. I'm really good at being brief. We went over how, with Elfeld's Rekka, hitting overhead and low on the same frame, like the overhead and low having the same frame data, negates the possibility to use this defensive option. But you have to remember one key thing about throws. You don't have to tech them on the frame they hit you. Throws, always, in modern games, always, I don't even know if in old games this wasn't the case, have a window to tech them. It can be small. Some games are a bit crueler and have maybe a 2-frame throw tech window. But for this example, let's just say 7 frames. Well, now this is pretty easy again, because right here, you just block, and then at any point in this range, this is your special range now, you just throw. The only way you get hit now, so in the overhead low example, right, like if it was low here, overhead here, the way you got hit was taking too long to switch between overhead and low. You have to switch within this window. The size of this window determines how easy it is to delay block, right? This is how long you have to properly switch. So if you switch to overhead here, obviously you got hit. There is also a common thing where you switch too early. If you block overhead here, you'd get hit. In the strike throw example, the two ways that can happen is, one, you throw too late. So if you throw here, throw tech window's done, buddy, you're getting thrown. Or you throw too early. So if you threw right here and they did strike, you'd get hit. So you never want to throw on the frame you think you'll get thrown. It should always be delayed. This is your sweet spot. This is your safe zone. It's the throw tech window. Now, I did mention this is an extreme example where there's no throw invulnerability. And I use Street Fighter, but also Guilty Gear. When you are guard crushed, like that Sin example, this is what's happening. The strike and throw can hit you on the same frame. And I believe with that Sin setup, they do. He's +6 after his follow-up into Gazelle step. Close slash hits you on your first actual frame after guard crush, and the throw would also. So this is actually what the situation looks like in Guilty Gear. You have this window to tech the throw. Normally though, if you recall, I say recall like I mentioned it. If you're aware, most games give you throw invulnerability after blocking or on wake up. So, in most games, you'd wake up / block. And there could be a strike here or nothing. But the throw could not happen till here, where your throw invulnerability has ended after these 5 frames. And then you have the 6 frames that we arbitrarily chose. Or I guess 6 extra frames is the 1 actual frame of the throw. Now you can see here, this is so easy. Your sweet spot here is gigantic. You can delay your throw so much and you'll easily beat both. Now it is worth mentioning, you could have mashed on this throw. That's one of the reasons throw invulnerability exists, but this is so much safer. It's quite hard to get hit here with this massive of a sweet spot. And this is why, one of the many reasons Guard Crush is so strong and why throws in Street Fighter are so evil, is this situation is a lot harder. And it depends especially on how much throw invulnerability the game has. Typically it's the speed of the fastest jab, which is 5. So you're losing 5 frames on your sweet spot here, which if you combine that in a game with a small throw tech window, then we can start getting some real strike throw mix-ups. But in most games, that's not really the case. Now, the exception to this, obviously, I'm using the word throw. This is for techable throws. If you're fighting Potemkin and this is a command grab, well, this is all gone then. You just had to jump right here, and if you didn't, you got hit. Or backdash. You have to jump or backdash, and if you didn't, you got thrown. So, this is just a 50-50. When it's Potemkin, it's a bit scuffed. Against Guard Crush specifically, if there's no Guard Crush, if we're in this situation, you still have some grace period like this, but everything here is fucked. This is all you have. You have this small gap, this small sweet spot that's like a third the size to get out of the situation. With options we'll talk later, it's delay backdash, delay jump. But yeah, this is the bad situation. Command grabs with no throw invuln. That's the evil situations where the strike throw starts to feel bad. Also Street Fighter, because there's no wake up throw invuln, and characters are able to hard bait your throw. That's another situation where the mix-up can be real. But for the most part, this delay tech stuff beats the most commonly what you would think of as strike throw mix-up. It's not real. It can all be delay tech. Okay, yes, we are in Guilty Gear Strive again. And I am making you sit with me to the menu again, but I won't make you sit in silence this time. I will provide you with my dear companionship. Why are we here? I want to show you an example where you can combine both delay tech and delay block to effectively negate a 3-way mix-up. And it will be against Sin again, and it will be a setup you have probably been hit by or at least seen before. So I'm hoping this is something you will actually one day be able to apply. And by one day, it could be fucking tomorrow. It's actually, like, genuinely, this stuff is not that hard. It's just, you have to know. If you don't know, you're not going to do it, and it's not something you can immediately intuitively figure out. Just play Cyberpunk song. So, basically, in this setup, it feels like just a 3-way mix-up, and you're like, this shit is fucked. But we have options. What is the setup? I'm talking about this setup. I immediately fucked it up. That one. Okay, actually, this setup is... There we go. So, There's an overhead there. There's a low. And there's also, it can be a frame trap with this for a huge reward, or you could just get thrown. So that seems pretty fucked, right? Well, like, I have all these options to deal with. What do I do? So let's just get a recording of there. That's the overhead. It's the low. You're actually so close, you have to delay the throw. That's the throw. I deleted the low. Oops. That's that one. And the final one. I had no stamina. Need to delay that a bit. There we go. So now it would appear to the untrained eye that we are stuck in hell. Because now I gotta block this fucking mix-up, and I'm so fucked. To turn these two on, I knew I forgot something. But now we just combine all our powers. So what does that mean? We're gonna hold back to block the overhead, wait, block the low, and then a little bit after holding down back, tech. Like that. This will beat every option. Why will it beat every option? Well, if we just look at the setup. Oh, Sid, it's okay. You can stop doing that. Thank you. If we look at the setup, obviously the overhead has to hit before the low, because before Sin can land, and before Sin can do the low, he has to land. But the overhead can be done before he lands. You can even, like, if I do overhead low, the low's clearly hitting second. That's fuzzyable. We can just delay guard that, switch high-low. But at the same time, there's also this secondary mix-up going on, where he can, I mistimed the throw there, but he could land there and then just throw us, or frame trap, even the kick could frame trap. He has a lot of more options here, and our delay blocking here isn't going to tech the throw for us, right? But we have the throw tech window to help us, because throws still have some startup, and then we have a pretty generous throw tech window in this game. I don't recall the exact size, but it's big enough that this works. And this then lets us cover all the options. We block high, block low, then the throw will hit you, and near the end of the throw tech window, that's when you tech. So if we turn this shit back on, you see that? It's all covered. Not a single one of these options can hit us. So this now seemingly impossible to deal with nightmare situation where you just get hit most of the time, it's negated. Now I want to clarify a few things, because I feel the way I've been talking might have been a little bit misleading. You don't instantly win because you did this. There are ways to beat delay options. That's where the layers and offense come from. For example, I can get in a fifth one here that beats this option. What would that be? Not that. Don't do that. What if he did that? Well, let's see. Hits your throw. So Sin does, not just Sin, people. There are ways to beat these options. But if you're forcing Sin to do that, this isn't safe. Now he has to commit even more stamina. He's starting to have to take risks on his offense. You can even just mash on this to deal with the fact that you just are not gonna crack to the normal standard style of offense of just do mix-ups. Because most mix-ups, if you understand their structure, you can negate parts of, if not all of them, in this way, and then they gotta start reaching in the toolkit. Another example, this setup, you remember this one? He can do this. Now what does that accomplish? If I delay tech, that happens to me. But you might notice that just whiffs. If you just hold down back, that doesn't hit you. His turn is over here. Even better, if you call it out, you get a punish. So the purpose of these options, it's not a they be all and all, completely win every defensive interaction forever now. It's force your opponent to take risks on their offense, because the riskless easy shit like this isn't gonna work anymore. It's not gonna cut it. There's no strike throw there to be afraid of anymore. Sin, you gotta start pulling out the bullshit where you do this. And the bullshit has much more direct counterplay. There's usually big gaps that you can exploit. There's usually weird movement that you can just avoid. They're specifically calling out you doing certain things. If you just stop doing those things, their offense doesn't do anything anymore. I hope that makes a bit more sense on the purpose of these options. Okay, for now, we're gonna leave it with just delay block and delay tech. Some other time I will talk about delay jump, delay backdash, and like proper block stun fuckery fuzzies. But I don't want this to be too long, and those three are a lot more complicated a lot of the time as to when you use them, how you use them, who you use them against even. Just understanding delay block and delay tech can do a lot for your defense, and I just want to draw two diagrams just to finally like a conclusion to explain the point here. Up here we're gonna draw how you don't want to conceptualize defense and how a lot of people do conceptualize defense when they talk about it in fighting games, and down here we'll draw what is usually actually happening and what you try and want to conceptualize offensive situations as, so that you can properly deal with them. So what people usually imagine, maybe not directly, but it feels like this is how they talk about it, this is how they're internally thinking about it, then this is how they're trying to like conceptualize a solution to it, is some stuff happens and then there's a point here. And at this point, the opponent can go high. I'm sorry I'm using H instead of O for overhead. I don't like drawing O anymore. It looks stupid. It can be high, low, or throw. This is what people are imagining. And what's the issue here? So in response to this, you have your own three options, right? It's the same. You can go high, low, throw. So people might refer to this as a rock, paper, scissors situation. There's a lot of issues. First and foremost, in rock, paper, scissors, famously, you beat one option, lose to another, and tie to yourself. So if you play rock, you beat scissors, lose to paper, and tie to rock. That's not how it works here. In this situation, if you pick overhead, low and throw both beat you. You lose to both of these. All you really beat is overhead. And when I say beat, I mean you block it. We're going to be generous and assume you get a punish on the overhead if you block it. Same thing here. If you block low, you lose the high and throw. All you beat is low, and with throw, you lose the high-low. You lose to any strike. And honestly, for throw, I'm not even going to give you that you beat it. You just don't lose to it. If you throw a throw, it's a throw tech that's usually a return to neutral. we'll give you half a check mark because you ended their pressure usually. So this is pretty dog shit rock, paper, scissors because it's super weighted against you. Playing this situation is terrible. It's awful. And it's going to feel awful if this is how you're thinking about it. Because a lot of the times, you're going to feel helpless. It's literally just like you're guessing. And the best thing you can really do to improve your defense is one, react to overheads, maybe if they're reactable. That depends on the game and situation. And is also honestly usually pretty unfair to yourself. You have a lot of other things to think about while you're playing fighting games. If you get hit by a dust sometimes, it happens. But the only other thing you can really do is just like play the lottery better. You're trying to just play the lottery better. You're trying to get into the mind of the other person there and beat them by understanding what options they're likely to choose. And you know what? Yeah, maybe you can get an amazing read on their offensive habits and figure out if they're going to do high-low throw. Predict in advance what they're going to do and keep picking that option. The problem is now it's like you're playing a game of chance against someone where there is some skill involved and you are just maximizing out on like your skill of reading them when the odds are stacked so heavily against you to begin with that you're really at best going to like balance it out. It's not going to, in the long run, you're fucked. In the long run, you are fucked. If this is how you're conceptualizing the situation, what follows here is fucking. I'm gonna draw big, scary skull and crossbones. This is my skeleton, and you're fucked, man. You're dead. So let's think about what is actually happening in these situations. So we can take that situation with Sin as the example. So you just got guard crushed. Sin is in the air. This is you getting guard crushed. So you're blocking. Uh, you're guard crush, but you're blocking during the guard crush, I assume. Don't be mashing during guard crushes. And Sin's doing whatever. And at this point right here, no, we're using H now. Sin can do the high. He can do the falling overhead, or can do nothing. So at this point, what are you doing? You are blocking high. This will beat both options. You will not get hit by either things. I'm using the check mark the same here. Neither of these options will hit you, right? Obviously. Now, during the rest of this, you're blocking high, doing whatever. So we'll just say you continue to block high. And let's say that jump in hits quite deep. And only 4 frames later, this is not accurate timing, by the way, I'm making this up. So this is all recovery frames or whatever. Sin lands. Now Sin is on the ground. And we're going to assume he framed that as instant because I don't have the space to properly accurately represent the frame data, right? So the moment he lands, there's a low or there's a throw. We're assuming again the throw hits on the same frame because if he did nothing, the throw could hit at the same frame because you're guard crushed. So what are you doing at this point? This was your sweet spot. During this time, you needed to change from high to low. And if you did that, at this point, you're blocking low. Well, you beat that. What's this? You lost to the throw. By our chart here, throw loses the high-low. But we are saved by the ever-gracious throw tech window. So now this is your second sweet spot. At any point during here, you need the throw. You just need to tech a throw, you do the throw input, whatever game you're playing. This is your second sweet spot. And if you do that, if there's a throw anywhere in here, we'll put it right here. This throw beats all of them, right? All of these T's are gone because at any point during a throw tech window, if you tech the throw is done. It doesn't have to be on the frame it happens. That's the key that makes this all possible when it comes to throw techs. Even if it happens on the same frame as a strike, throws don't have to be dealt with on the frame they happen, unlike hits. So with all this in mind now, where's the randomness? Here there was randomness in predicting what your opponent was going to do. If you were fighting like a quantum superly imposed individual who truly draws his decision making from the randomness of the universe, you couldn't predict him and you're just fucked. You're going to lose in the long run. Where's the randomness here? It doesn't matter which option he picks, because this option select, this defensive fuzzy situation setup thing you're doing, it beats everything. It beats the high, it beats the low, it beats the throw. So against this specific mix-up, it's no longer a fucking, like a roll 1d3, call the number to not get hit. It's just a mechanical thing. It's just a mechanical skill. If you practice this setup will never hit you. And that's the power of defensive fuzzies like this, defensive delay options. Literally by just something as simple as delaying your option, you just beat this layer 1 offense. Now again, I showed you with that Sin example, they can start doing other things to deal with you doing this thing. For example, a pretty easy thing to do is in this situation, right? Let's say the low now is right here. Well, now your throw tech window is extended. If they do the low throw here, I got rid of the T as well. They delay both of them. They do it here, right? Well, now if you throw too soon, your throw as startup, the low hits you. Or we saw here, if they land and do the third option of jump and you throw during this sweet spot, you get hit. Now it's death to do that. Or if they land, do nothing, walk back, you throw, you get hit. If they land and what's this? They did fucking land high, land overhead, they did land host stomp, you get hit. The point of this though is that this offensive sequence as it is now, that one sequence we showed with Sin, in this form is the safest it could be. You are guard crushed like the whole time. There's never a gap for you to mash. There's never really a spot for you to jump unless the throw. The throw is inherently risky, but it's like the least risky throw it could be. There's not really a point for you to do anything defensively except just block and tech the throw. And so if you can learn this, that makes it so you always block and tech the throw. Well, then they have to start doing something else. And once they start doing that something else, that is where the risk in the offense comes in. That is when you can start taking your turns back on defense. That is the point of all this. You need to make them change their offense because the most basic layer 0 offense, if it works on you, this is the only defensive option you have. And yeah, that's the summary of these options. Next time we will talk about delay jump, delay backdash, and the secret third thing. The secret third thing isn't as relevant. It's quite character specific, it's quite matchup specific, but it is important to know. So we'll go over that then. This shit was so ass, man.